With Woody's passing, we have lost a deeply selfless American and a vital link to our nation's greatest generation. His story echoes the service of so many Americans who faced the horrors of war so that liberty might triumph over fascism. Many of them were just 17, 18, 19 years old. They summoned awe-inspiring courage, keeping the flame of democracy burning through our darkest hour.
Woody's service leaves us a rich legacy. His valor in combat is enshrined aboard the USS Hershel Williams and at the Hershel Williams Armed Forces Reserve Center. His commitment to his fellow veterans inspires caregivers at the Woody Williams VA Medical Center, and his namesake foundation continues its work to honor the sacrifices of families left behind. Our nation was richly blessed by the life of Woody Williams.
Congresswoman Giffords was the target of the mass shooting.
It was more than a decade ago when a gunman tried to kill U.S. Congresswoman Gabby Giffords at a political gathering outside a grocery store in her home state of Arizona. 6 people died in the mass shooting, and Giffords, who was shot in the head, was critically wounded. Her remarkable journey to recovery and ensuing gun control activism is chronicled in the new documentary, Gabby Giffords Won't Back Down.
Strong woman get things done.
That's Giffords speaking to Reuters, along with co-directors Julie Cohen and Betsy West, known for their Oscar-nominated film on late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and another on cooking legend Julia Child.
Gabby is yet another strong woman that we've had the opportunity to film, and I would say really one of the most inspiring.
If an idea is a good idea, it's a good idea.
The documentary includes moments from her political rise, along with intimate footage of her recovery and her marriage to former astronaut turned Democratic Senator Mark Kelly, with a lot of unexpected curves.
Like, we did not anticipate how much she was going to kind of run us ragged in terms of following everything, like, oh, the gym, then recumbent biking, then speech therapy, then yoga. Yes.
And the role that music played in that recovery and in Gabby's life right now. We spent a lot of time
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River.
We sang a lot.
And then there's this revelation from a woman who once couldn't speak.
I'm studying for my bar mitzvah.
As for the film's message, Giffords is very clear.
For me, it has been really important to move ahead, to not look back. I hope others are inspired to keep moving forward no matter what.
Gabby Giffords Won't Back Down is in theaters starting July 15th. Ivana Trump, first wife of former President Donald Trump and the mother of his 3 children, and who helped build his real estate empire, has died, Donald Trump said on Thursday. In a post on his social media platform, Trump said, quote, "I am very saddened to inform all of those that loved her, of which there are many, that Ivana Trump has passed away at her home in New York City." The couple married in 1977 and divorced in 1992. Their 3 children, Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric, were part of Trump's Apprentice reality show, with Ivanka later working in the Trump administration. Ivana Trump grew up under communist rule in the former Czechoslovakia and, quote, taught her children about grit and toughness, compassion and determination, the family said in a statement. Neither the Trump family nor the former president mentioned the cause of her death. A former model who once trained for the Czechoslovakian junior national ski team, Ivana played a role in building the Trump media image in the 1980s when they were one of New York City's most prominent power couples. She worked alongside her husband in developing Trump Tower, his signature building on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, and other high-profile projects, such as the Trump Taj Mahal Casino and Resort in Atlantic City, New Jersey, according to the New York Times. The couple's divorce, which came after Trump's highly publicized affair with Marla Maples, whom he later married, was fodder for the New York tabloids. The family said Ivana, who was 73, is survived by her mother, her 3 children, and 10 grandchildren.
U.S. stocks paired early losses to close mixed Thursday, with the Dow and S&P falling modestly and the Nasdaq ending in the green but basically flat. This after the biggest bank in the country kicked off the second quarter earnings season on a sour note. Shares of J.P. Morgan Chase fell 3.5% after reporting a bigger-than-expected fall in quarterly profit, and CEO Jamie Dimon warned of an impending economic slowdown. Morgan Stanley also reported slumping profits on Thursday, sending its shares down slightly. Payne Capital Management's president, Ryan Payne.
Disappointing day. We had the kickoff of earnings season, and the banks have come in with disappointing earnings. JP Morgan saying that they're going to increase their reserves. They saw their revenue down higher than was less than expectations. We had earnings down less than expectations. So, and this is one of the bigger concerns that we've had here as we go into earnings seasons where analyst expectations too high, and the banks are confirming that they were too high as bank earnings have come in disappointing. So that's adding to fuel for the fire here, and that's why you're seeing a market sell-off here.
It was a mixed bag for growth stocks, with Meta Platforms and Alphabet notching losses, but Microsoft and Tesla gained, as well as Apple, which rose a full 2%. U.S.-listed shares of Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing rose about 3%, following the chipmaker's upbeat revenue guidance. But shares of ConAgra Brands tumbled more than 7% after the more than century-old company issued an annual earnings forecast that came in below estimates.
Celebrations broke out on the streets of Colombo after the resignation of Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Protesters had massed outside the presidential secretariat, defying a citywide curfew. According to a spokesperson, Rajapaksa submitted his resignation by email late on Thursday, hours after he fled to Singapore following mass protests over an economic meltdown. It would be official on Friday once the document is legally verified. Protests against the economic crisis have simmered for months and came to a head last weekend when hundreds of thousands of people took over government buildings in Colombo. They blame the Rajapaksa family and allies for runaway inflation, shortages of basic goods, and corruption. Rajapaksa had promised to resign by Wednesday, stirring renewed uncertainty in crisis-hit Sri Lanka as the deadline passed. And his decision on Wednesday to make his ally, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, the acting president, sparked more unrest, with demonstrators storming Parliament and the Premier's office demanding that he quit too. Protesters say they'd have no problem with an elected president.
We have no problem with who the next elected president is, but if it's going to be Ranil Wickremesinghe who's elected, we would love to know who in Parliament voted for a man whose party got only 225,000 votes, and yet he is going to control 22 million people. We will have to question if Parliament is a place where the views of the people are taken into consideration. It means that members do not understand the demand of the people for change, and that the people are suffering.
Parliament is expected to name a new full-time president on July 20th. A top ruling party source told Reuters that Wickremesinghe was the party's first choice, although no decision has been taken yet.